Might have boxed myself into a corner here. You know, that works.
Yes, I do know.
Yeah, I shouldn't have cut this. I cut it in a bandsaw just now and I shouldn't have cut it. But I can deal with it.
Well, it's done now.
That's right.
Can't go backwards.
That's the thing, you know, the setup is everything.
Yeah.
Planning, the end game. Knowing where you want to be. Brutal. There we go. So in order to, I gotta go get the speaker. I got the microphone, but the speaker's still in the other room. Oh my God.
Oh, he doesn't have that tied into the system, huh?
No, it's just, this is one we just bought.
Okay.
Okay, so, there we go. I'll tell you. So I'm looking for the, you know, you have to turn the thermostat off in order to quiet down that air handler. So I went in the maintenance room looking for the thermostat keys and I couldn't find them. Where are the thermostat keys? You know, who leaves this, who doesn't put the thermostat key back? You know where it was? It was on the shelf by the thermostat from the last meeting where I left it a month ago. So, I'll tell you.
You know, we got that on tape.
I mean, give me a break. Okay, so this picture here, oh, by the way, this book here is an excellent book on turning green wood, as the name would imply. If you're thinking about turning green wood, I think it's only $17.95. Canada, 1995. This is a great book, and it really talks you through all the things. And this picture here, this is showing where on a tree the bolls are, and you can see there are bolls all over the place. But generally speaking, the bolls avoid the pith of the tree, the center of the tree, because the center of the tree, the pith, if you leave it on the wall of a bowl, it's going to dry differently than the rest of the tree and you could get cracking. So you have to deal with it. You have to recognize that that's the case. But see this little picture here with my fingers? That's the bowl we're doing today. Okay? That's what I'm doing. Last week, I did this one here. It was out of the trunk of a tree. There's one of these two here. You see the middle, you eliminate the pith. But this is the little one. The little one we're going to do is right here. So this is a piece of this branch that Paul Zimmerman donated, and I've drawn on here different shapes where we could have a bowl, where we could cut the cup part of this. Okay, and you can see I've drawn different shapes, and this shape here is too wide. See how wide it's going to be? Because you're not going to be able to get to the bark. It's going to be too wide. It's going to be like half again as wide as this one. So you have to pick, I'm picking the narrow dimension here. You see it? This dimension here. Is this coming through? Yeah. Okay. I'm picking the narrow dimension, and this is where I'm selecting my bowl, because I call it a bowl, because in doing this one here, I'll have the natural edge. You see, I'll have the bark edge will be intact. If I did it this way, if I did it this way, well then it wouldn't have the bark edge. It's a question of choice, right? But you have to, before you cut it, like I did, you should have thought of that. Okay? So I got ahead of myself, but think through what you want to do. We're going to make do with this piece today, even though it's cut in half. So this is the piece we're going to work on. And the first step is I'm going to cut, I don't know how good that shows up, but I power washed my driveway today. Not a good thing to do on the day when you're going to do wood turning. Not good. But see that black thing there? That's a tenon. So that's what I want to do. I'm going to mount, by mounting that tenon in the chuck, then I can come over in here and I can turn this out and make the bowl, right? So you have to think through, because you have to mount it one way to make the tenon, and you have to flip it over to use the tenon. And I'll show you that in a second. So once you decide what you're going to do, you would cut this here. You'd cut it up in here, but I cut it right down the middle. So we're going to have to live with it. All right? But still, this is what we want to do. I'm going to make this dome, and I'm going to form, the first step is going to be to form this tenon. Okay. Any questions on that? Anytime you're doing wood turning, you got to think your end game. Don't just get started, because you'll do just what I did. Okay, so this is a drive spur that goes in the chuck. It's a pretty cool little item. And yeah, I'm going to move that right out of the way. So that way, I don't have to change the chuck later. So, because I know I'm going to be using the chuck for the tenon. So, all right. So now, just a piece, yeah. See, I've already prepared this with cleaned it out with a chisel. And I'm going to mark the center of it. And you want to get the center as close as you can to the center so that the bark is even on both sides. All right? You want the bark to be even. So what's wrong? Here's a piece. This is the one you want to mark the center. Oh boy, I'll tell you.
What kind of blues you drink?
Well, you like the rest of it, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, well, it's a little nerve-wracking, because I want it to go well, and I don't want to make any mistakes, and so that means you're going to make mistakes. So I just cleaned this bark out of here. Again, if you put your hand here, it keeps you from damaging the knife if it slips. It's good. Now I'm going to mark the center. I'm marking the center this way and the center that way as best I can. If you can't get it in the center, you just make the dot real big, right? So, yeah. Okay, so here, see, that's where I want my tenon. So in order to make my tenon, it has to mount this way, because there's the tenon. I can't make the tenon in here. I have to make a tenon on the outside. Okay, so mount this in here. And now I'm going to get this flat plane here perpendicular to the ways of the lathe the best I can. A little bit off. Just eyeball. And see, I got really good penetration there. Okay. All right. Now, you could cut these corners off, but I didn't. No. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I'm using a bowl gouge with a Sicilian grind. This is a special grind that I have patented.
Anybody want to buy a bridge?
It must be well oiled in order to work. Okay, so, but I'm going to use a bowl gouge using a roughing cut. And with the last demo, I had a couple of people say, you should spend more time showing how you did, what part of the tool you're using and the cuts, and I will do that. And I may as well do it right now. for the most part, I'm going to be using this part of the chisel right here. Okay? Right? Just this part. And then, once the bowl is trued a little bit and running nice and not as bumpy, then I'll use more. Okay? And I'll use both sides. So that's the technique. Whenever you're using the bowl gouge, you generally use this part of the tool right here. That's where you're running it. And then when you get more aggressive, you can come out here. Okay. So you see what I'm going to do right now? See, I'm coming in with that tip that I just showed you. I don't want to come in with the big one. I want to come in with the little one because this is rough. Okay. And you know you're going to get stuff flying out of here, so you should stand to the side, obviously.
What do you set it at?
I'm doing about 1,000. I mean, I can even go more. It's a small piece. Okay? So I'm coming in with that little tip. See it? Okay. Once it settles down, then you can really get a nice cut. Again, you see, I'm using that one little edge, just that little curve of the front of the tool. Once it starts to cut, I just advance. I don't do this. Once it starts to cut, I move my whole body. Starting to vibrate a little bit. Now when you get to the bark side, it's best to go this way, because if you try to go this way, you could pull the bark off. And you don't want to mess the bark up, because that's going to be a nice feature. So when you come to the bark side, you come in from this side. And now I'm using the other half, the other small tip. And now I'm going, pushing the bark towards the wood. Okay, so it's a round piece now. It's a round piece. So now that it's round, that means it's not going to vibrate as much. So now I'll put the tenon on. Because you try to do the fine work while it's vibrating, you know, it's not going to be fine work.
What would you be doing differently if that wasn't green?
I'd do the same thing. I'd be doing the same thing, but
Same technique.
it'd be tearing out, and it'd be banging you, and it wouldn't be as much fun. And it'd be more expensive, primarily. I mean, you try to buy a nice piece of kiln-dried wood, you're going to spend some big bucks on it. I know you got it, but you know I don't. I'm on a fixed income. So now I want to smooth this face off. So now I can use, instead of using the tip, I can use that broader area that I told you about, right here. I can use that broader area. But I'm going to use the bottom. I mean, there's a broad area on the bottom. I'm going to use a pull cut. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to tip my edge up so it's in a really aggressive cutting. See it? See how it's cutting? That's pretty aggressive. All I want to do now is get that, I want to get that flat. So it is flat now. Yep, see it? pretty good. So now I'm going to put the tenon on. For the tenon, I got this tool that was an old skew, and I cut there's 3 cutting edges here. 1, 2, 3. And they're all cut at an angle that matches my chuck. And the depth here this depth right here is the depth of my chuck. So this makes it a lot easier to put a tenon on. We have this tool in the maintenance room, do we not?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we have this tool in the maintenance room, but it might not be set up for your chuck. But it has the
Looks a little different, but we do have one.
yeah. Okay, so again, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to put a tenon on. And I don't need a big one because it's a small piece. A little bit more. And you can see that when I have this face here parallel with the lathe, it's going to make a dovetail.
Trying to find where we are, guys.
Yeah.
Bear with me.
See, it's foolproof. Huh? I'm gonna
There
do
we
it.
are.
Okay, hang on. See, it's right in the corner and it's making a perfect dovetail that matches my chuck. And this part here is making the mating surface for the jaws flat. So what you're looking at there is a really good looking dovetail. It's crisp. It's got a sharp corner inside. This corner here is well defined. This corner is less important because it's not touching anything and not in a corner. And then this angle, you can see there's a little ridge here. That's no good. I didn't see it while I was spinning, so I got to get that out. There we are. Perfect. See, that's a good looking tenon right there, if I do say so myself. I mean, you know, I've seen some tenons, and we all have. That's a tenon, okay? All right, we okay with that now? So now I'm done with that. Now I'm going to turn it around and turn the bowl. I hope. Okay, so we're good? Okay, here we go. I always try to use the tailstock, loosen your chuck, use your tailstock to drive everything home. Not so much important with a small piece, but with a big piece, you know, it's hard to hold. So use the tailstock, push it home. And remember, this is green wood, so it's going to compress a little bit, and then you're going to have to check it from time to time. Okay, so that's my top of my ornament, and I have to have just enough room in here because I have to go in there and part it off. So now I'm going to go after it. Okay, so this is in the way. So it's a small piece, so I'm not going to drill a hole in it. You know, for depth, just going to measure as we go. adjust my tool rest so my tool is right in the center line. And you notice I'm going to go in this way, I'm going to be cutting with that little spot again. But this time I'm going to be using the other side. When I was cutting over here, I was using this side, now I'm going to use that side. So that's a good thing about having two sides. It saves you from having to sharpen as much. Okay, so must be a bad bearing, huh?
Yep.
There's a bearing all right. Okay. I'm going to bring my speed up a little bit. Okay, I'm using that. A lot of people have trouble getting to the, when you're getting to the middle and you're finishing. If you stay a little bit above center, like I am right now, when you get to the center, it'll be easier to cut it off. If you go low, it'll catch. So try to stay above, at center or a little bit above. I'm going to come back. I'm using the same corner. I'm going to take this center down until this is very narrow, like a finishing. Again, I'm coming in into the bark so it doesn't have the tendency to not split, not break off. Speed keeps going down. Guess I'm hitting it.
Yeah.
I must be rubbing it.
They're very sensitive. If your clothing touches it, it'll change
Yeah.
it.
Check for depth. Okay. A little bit more. Trying to leave myself space to cut this off because I cut it off too soon. Now you can see it's taking shape. What I'm going to do now is I think I'm okay on the inside. I'm going to cut the outside to match the inside. I'm going to clean up the inside just a little bit, then I'm going to cut the outside.
Yep. Once your clothing touches it, they move.
Yeah, see that's pretty good. And that's just right off the tool. It hasn't even been sanded. It's not going to be sanded. I mean, that's pretty good. Okay, so now do the outside. Yep, you can see where my bottom is. I have to have some thickness and then I can cut it off. hopefully. Okay, so again, into the bark, I'm going to go this way. I'm using the same part of the tool. Basically always use that. Okay, a little bit more. I'm just hauling wood out of here now. It's sort of in the way. Okay, it's not quite thin enough yet, but it's uniformly thick, I should say. So now see the bark starting to come off. See it here? So if that happens, you can't live with it. Then you just take a knife and you break off all the bark, and you're left with the Cambria, right? The Cambria looks just as good. The Cambria is this brown underneath, so the brown will not come off. The Cambria will not come off. You can see it over here. So you can break this away if you wanted. I'm not going to monkey with that. You can go either way. Some people, you know, it's natural one way versus the other. So now another finishing technique here with the bowl gouge is using it as a scraper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the is that good? Okay, I'm going to bring the tool up. So just the bottom edge is touching. You see the bottom edge is touching, the top edge is not. But the top edge is almost touching, but it's not. And now I'm using that whole long surface as a scraper. So you got multiple tools in one tool. And you'll see how it scrapes. See how it scrapes. Let me take this off. I'm going to bring the bottom piece in. See, it's just like...
Look here.
Pardon me?
You lost your microphone.
Oh, what happened? What happened? There it goes. How's that? Good. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Turned off. Okay, so I'm just going to show you this scraping motion here. See, there's a little roughness here, and let me scrape it off. And see, it's very, very genteel. Kind of move the tool, rotate the tool as you're cutting. See how much smoother it is? Okay, I'm getting down to the good stuff now. This is where you run into trouble. You get close, and that's when you screw up. So, I know I'm right here. That's the bottom. Well, you can see it there, right? That's the bottom of the inside. So I'm going to take a parting tool and I'm going to define where this side of the bowl is going to be. I know that this is that side of the bowl. I want to define this side of the bowl, so I have to move over here one thickness of the bowl, however thickness you want. So I'm going to put a parting cut right in here. If it comes off, it means you measured wrong. Now there's a lot of tools you can go in here with. Go in here with a spindle gouge or a detail bowl gouge. But what the heck, you can try with this. Not my bad. I'm going to go in with this gouge so I can reach way in there and get it caught. Again, I'm using the scraping motion here, just using the bottom edge. You couldn't get a scraper in here, so. What's that? Okay. Are you good?
Let me orient myself again.
What's that?
Let me orient myself again. Okay, there we go.
Thing ain't working again.